we've been looking forward to this opportunity, this time, man.
It's that time of the year.
Yeah, but I have to say, Guti, I mean, we are here. We are here, but also, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, there's just a lot. Maybe this is not the space.
But one thing I know for sure is that this is your most exciting time.
This is my most exciting time. And actually, even with the guests, I mean, I could have said today, Guti, I've made it. Mama, I've made it. Bruh, I've been watching you like 10 years ago, I couldn't have been thinking, Guti, one day,
sit down.
I'm going to be like, up there.
Yep.
Talking to this guy. Bruh, you're a legend. Whenever I think about my elections,
it's this face.
You are some of the people. I say, how does it feel like facing the people and how you know like
every time
you know
what
Meg is showing up at Meg in the press briefing at 4. How does it feel like facing that crowd?
Well, it's like you're asking a mortuary attendant to say there was an accident.
Yeah.
Then you had to treat or take care of a body.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Well, it's a job. It's your calling. It's just the same way you're asking a gynecologist to say you're about to help somebody deliver. How does it feel? So you feel the sense of responsibility first, and then the sense of satisfaction when you have delivered what was expected of you. If you're a gynecologist, you have helped the woman deliver. Now, your interest is at safe delivery.
Yeah.
Whether it's a boy or girl, it's none of a business. So the same for me, somebody working in the elections, I don't care who wins, whether it's party A or party B, but I'm interested in the credibility of the process.
Wow. Amen. I say, nchiro mene zijazode umajita zozode nthawi zino umajita unoze sangwani watopa. Like he's sad muntu ambabwera kale ambamona kale. All right, guys. Our guest today, the man himself. I mean, when you talk about elections, tikamakamba zazisankho umajita zozode sangwani timuona. Right? That's why I was asking him, how does it feel like coming to people who are like eagerly waiting to hear something? And now zambi makazoti andiri makadi ndi manambala atu ndawi zambi makadi ndi manambala tindi information ya 270 nayo, but what is coming to us is not what we're expecting, but then it's your job, as you have said, it's a calling. I mean, welcome to the show. This is Emergency Meeting.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I'm anxious about what I've been asked, facing the people, but I'm really glad to be here.
Pano mumasuke. Pano timakalipira anthu panopa. This is a boardroom, okay? So Emergency Meeting, it's designed as kuti mu boardroom umene timaonesa kuti tikamatuluka muno tikhale kuti tapanga communicate chinthu china chake. So that's what holds up this room. So muno mmatentha maboardroom tikuziwa mukamakumana pena matha kuvulirana mashadi mkumene kukankhirana mafile. So this is it. So welcome, guys. This is another episode of Emergency Meeting right here on #1 podcast. Podcastmalawi. And as you can see, palizina zake zoti sumafunika uzilankhula ayi. You get it? Zina zake zoti sumafunika uzilankhula, like you can just see. And I know you are seeing, man. I know you're seeing. Okay, let's get into the business, because we are saying sangwani manena kuti pano timakamba zinthu zambirimbiri, and a lot of things that we talk here, we have seen my discussions amene timakhala nawo pano akupangidwa adopt my CEOs sharing the message and debating on what we are being talking about and all that. So pano timapanga zinthu. So we are expecting to have like a good chat. I mean, now zisankho zikubwera sangwani. Zisankho zikubwera in the next 6 months. Today I think ndekuti kwasala masiku 206 ndichoncho right?
Yeah, 206.
Tasala ndi masiku 206 before the general elections. There's so much that is happening out there. Kuli zisankho zimene zinachitika kumaiko anzathu, for example Mozambique, kunali zisankho. Namibia kunali zisankho, and kusatira kwa zisankho kumakhala zinthu zambiri so zimene zimachitika. We want to understand kuti what are the preparations like kumeke komukakhala kuti you want to make sure kunena kuti there's credibility and zisankhozi zayenda bwino. What are preparations like?
Yeah, I want to start with analogy.
Okay.
Because you are saying this is an emergency meeting.
It is.
Then us would want to paint a picture that elections are not an emergency.
Okay.
There are a process or a cycle. When you are done with one election, you don't want to sit down and say, we are relaxing, then we're going to start sometime later, preparation for the next elections. No.
So ntchito ya zisankho izizi munayamba mu 2020.
Immediately 2020 elections, the presidential elections were announced. We went into the preparations for the next elections. I know, outside there they say, as Malawians, we are always campaigning, we don't rest, we don't sit down to reflect on implementation of development or whatever activity. But now, I want them to look at this from the preparation of Malawi Electoral Commission. Elections are a cycle. Once you announce results, declare results, you start preparing for the next elections. So you will notice that post 2020 fresh presidential elections, we had to go and reflect. The reflection focused on the 2019 elections because of the parliamentary elections and the local government elections were not nullified. Of course, we had one or two cases in the parliamentary elections which were nullified, but all the elections were not nullified except for the presidential. So even the nullification of the presidential itself was a good case study for us to reflect on if we're going to prepare for the next election. What lessons have we learned? And you will notice that from the judgment of the Supreme Court, but also the Constitutional Court. There were so many pronouncements that were made that have even changed the whole landscape of how we manage elections and then how we conducted the fresh presidential election. Why? Because of the so many pronouncements that were made by the judiciary. We implemented them in the presidential election, but then we needed a supporting legislation. You remember the issue like for a presidential candidate to win an election has to get more than 50% plus one of the total valid votes cast. That was an explanation or an interpretation of the word majority from the judiciary. So you sit down and reflect, and you discover that from the reflection of the process, we had to come up with a good number of reforms, amendments to the law. In fact, it was a whole law reform process. I think we have never had such an amount of laws changed since 2014, if my memory can serve me right. We had to repeal the Parliamentary and Presidential Elections Act and also the Local Government Elections Act, formed them into one place, changed the Electoral Commission Act into the Malawi Electoral Commission Act, and then had so many substantive amendments to the laws. And you see that the laws were passed in 2023. The president signed or sent it to them, I think it should be around 18 February or thereabout, and the minister passed the effective date. Effective date, it's like you have passed a law, but the Minister of Justice has to appoint a date on which the laws have to start working. So these ones, I think, started on 15th June 2023. So we've been using the laws in the by-elections. So you just discover that the by-elections that were implemented or conducted after the elections were using the new electoral laws, like on the opening and closing of polling stations. So apart from the amendments of the laws, we had to go into issues of boundary review. This is an issue that had been outstanding, I think, for 23 years. The last demarcation was in 1998, so we had to do it.
Nkhani ya demarcation.
Yes.
Ndi nkhani yonena kuti has been outstanding for 23 years?
Yes, it has been outstanding since 1998, and then the boundary reviews were implemented in 2023. Then when you look into the provision of the law was saying every 5 years.
Yeah.
But now, for one or two another reason, the commission could not be implementing. That's why I'm emphasizing now on the issue of elections are not an emergency like the emergency meeting we are having now, but are a process and a cycle. We did the boundary review. It was an elaborate process because from 1998, even the process that was done in 1998 was not as thorough as the one we had now. Okay. Because then it was implemented like in a hurry and saying we are going to have a thorough process after this one. We are just looking at the constituencies which were outlier. That time. So over the years we could have irregularities creeping in. I'll give an example of an irregularity. We had a constituency in Lilongwe. If I'm not mistaken, it should be Lilongwe city center, something like that, which had over 125,000 registered voters. Okay. But then when you go to Chitipa, you discover that the total of registered voters in Chitipa for 4 constituencies were around 120,000 or thereabout. Yeah. So this defeats the principle in democracy of one person, one vote. So if 2 constituencies in Chitipa were voting yes, you discover that though in demarcation we use a population of eligible voters, but I'm using total registered voters just for illustration purposes. Okay. 50,000 people in 2 constituencies of 25,000 each would vote yes. One constituency with over 125,000 could vote no. You find that 50,000 are defeating the decision of about 100,000 people. It's not supposed to be like that. So we had to heal these irregularities, and that's why even if you look into what was like the outcome in the process, because it was done in a fair way, you find that councils like Chitipa, they didn't gain more constituencies, but councils like Lilongwe, because the population was so high, to make sure that they come to a Mostan Igupopuli, you had to create more constituencies. So we ran with that exercise, and then the Parliament also adopted our report, and we have new constituencies. Just to give a picture that we have been having 193 constituencies, but then we have 229 constituency. On that one, let me take a break. When we are going around, you will find that people, when we meet the stakeholders, everybody was saying, we need a new constituency here because this area is too big. All the reasons that they could give. Some of the reasons people are giving were backed by law. Some of them could not be backed by law. Okay. Like CDF is not enough. We need it. No, that one is not in the criteria for demarcating constituencies. Then this is what I said how to take a break. When the commission considered all those views, it had to really come up with a very sober criteria and coming up with a number. Otherwise, if we had just entertained each and every request, we would have had so many constituencies than we have. So the commission came up with a very elaborate process of determining the number of constituencies. We had to come up with the quotient and everything. But now, when we released the figure, 229, that 229 constituencies was not guessed. It was a sum of it was a mathematical formula that arrived at that number. And this is the paradox. When you go to the ground, each and every person you meet, they want a new constituency in the area. But when you give them the total, they will say, nobody wants the total number of constituencies to go high. And so say, why 229 constituencies? Our economy cannot afford that. This number is just too high. Reduce it. But when you go to talk to the people, everybody wants a new constituency. That's the paradox of it. Now, we did the constituencies. We gazetted them. So 229 constituencies from 193. 509 words from 462. The other thing that we have done so far is identification of voter registration centers. Because we've got new constituencies with new boundaries, we had to make sure that we align and realign the existing centers, and where a center that was saving a population, but there is a line or a boundary that has passed in between. You have to make sure that people don't walk a long distance. So the commission made a very good decision to take electoral processes as much as we can closer to the people.
Yeah.
So today I can challenge you that there's nobody walking 5 kilometers before they find a registration center. So the centers that we have, almost 20% of them, they are very new, created that nobody even before it wasn't a constituency. We retained the majority of the centers that we have before. And after that, we had to go into the exercise now, registration of voters. We have run this with this exercise from the 21st of October to 11th of December. Now, something happened on the way. The new law required that when somebody is coming to register, they should bring their national ID or a proof that they registered in the civil register for them to register. We had no choice as Malawi Electoral Commission but to implement the law. But in the course, some people went to the court. The initial plea with the court was that the requirement that one to bring a proof of national registration was unconstitutional. But then the court didn't sustain that, but then ruled that when somebody presents themselves at a voter registration center, they should be given an opportunity to register with the NRB if they did not register. Then they should register as voters. So surprised how unfortunately or fortunately in the first phase, this ruling came out on the 25th, and we started the first phase on 21st of October. There was not enough time to mobilize logistics to effect it in the first phase. So even in the second phase, we had some challenges that when people register with the NRB, their national ID or their number is not issued immediately because they have to be vetted, and the vetting is a process. They have to establish if you are eligible to be a citizen, and then if you have not registered before. So if you have got high volumes registered at one time or within a given period, the vetting process also takes time. So we are closing centers, some people without getting their number, the national ID numbers. So to comply with the judgment, that's how we came up with the supplementary voter registration. We concluded the supplementary voter registration. We now have about 7,295 voters. You ask me now to say, are you satisfied with the number? Because that's another hot issue.
That's another issue, of course, because I think I was looking at trend. My trend, Cardinal, like from 1993, there was a registration also in 1994, and then 1999. I think my trend akumakhalina kuti pazisankho zitatu akumakhala matrend tamakagamira pamozi.
Okay, I will explain the trend.
You will explain.
We have something irregular or regular, but if I explain, you understand. 2014, we had about 7.6 million voters registered. This was the reason. We were using the technology that is known as optical mark recognition. Optical mark recognition, I'm mentioning deliberately because most of the people that are listening to me might be familiar with it. When you are sitting for university entrance exams, you would fill the form and it would be bubbling. That thing, it's marked by a computer. It doesn't read. It reads the shading, optical mark, where you have marked. So that system was giving us problems. That's when you would have people's names misspelled. Because if the one bubbling it, instead of bubbling where there's a B, they do an A. The computer will read an A. So you find that where my name is W, but you have bubbled F, you find that F has come at a regular place. If my center code is 021, meaning that maybe it's in Chitipa, you bubble 031, you find that my name has been thrown to another constituency somewhere. So we used to have so many problems. And if I can remember vividly, in 2014, we had opened up for voter verification, people just to inspect the register. But in the state, the register was, we had to withdraw it so that we clean it. So 2014, we didn't have the national ID. Because we didn't have the national ID, and then there were so many social services that required identification. And now the voter certificate, apart from being used as a voter certificate, was being used as a national ID.
Okay.
So there are people that even whose faith denied or didn't allow them to register or to vote. They would go and register just because they wanted to benefit from the social service, use it at a bank as an ID. So you could have people register, and that's why the figures will be high. And then come 2019, we introduced the biometric technology, whereby if you come in to register, because we had the national ID, we were not writing your name. Or in the past, we used to write your name in ink. Even if you could see the voter certificates of 2014, the names were written in ink by a person. They would misspell your name. But 2019, your names were just correct because we are just scanning your national ID or your proof of registration with the NRB. And we had a very clean register that nobody could come and say, my name is missing, my picture is not missing. No. So 2014, 2019, because of this exercise, one, because the national IDs were there, people that were registering just to get the ID didn't have any motivation to register as voters, because even our voter certificate could not be used as an ID. Secondly, because it was a biometric process, it was much easier to run a deduplication process. What is a deduplication process? It is whereby when you register, we put the data together. The computer automatically searches for duplicates, and we're able to catch. That's why the figure for 2019 went down. I think it was around 6.8 or something. You have the graph there. And then it come 2019, 2025. 2025 is a bit higher than what we had in 2019. We are around 7.2. Yeah. Are we satisfied? Well, I would say the figures are satisfactory because they are more than what we had in the past year. We are using same technology.
Should we compare to what we had last year, or what is the expected of maybe the
I will explain two things.
Okay.
The environment in which voter registration has been conducted in 2025 should not be ignored.
Okay.
I would commend the Malawi Electoral Commission for achieving that 7.2 million. Why? When we started, we were introducing a new gadget known as election management device. It's a new gadget, but it's not new technology. It's the same biometric voter registration technology that we used in 2019, but in a new machine. Because if I had an S2 last time, I'm buying a new phone here. I will not go back to buy an S2. There are other new phones on the market, and I should be going for the latest technology. So that's what we did. That gadget, if you look at it, it's much smaller. It's handy. And it's agile. We had to do some task. We consulted stakeholders, but somehow, I don't know for what, there was animosity. That people started branding it names.
Difficult, meaning.
Yes, but I want to mention one thing. When we are doing voter registration, there were people that were attempting to do demonstrations. There were pronouncements from leaders to say, no, they want to rig. Now, at a time, Malawi Electoral Commission is telling people, go and register. One party leader is telling them, no, they want to rig. It definitely, that has going to impact because the people do listen to their leaders. In other countries, we find that the commission doesn't go out to do voter registration or mobilization. That is left to the parties because people listen to the parties. So for the commission to achieve that 7.2 million, it means we had to stretch ourselves and put each and every skill and tactic of mobilizing people to go and register.
Because there was opposition.
Yes, there was like the negative campaign against what they're doing. So it's like you want to push a car, but now you are pushing it uphill. It's unlike when it's a slope or a flat place. You don't apply much effort. So in this case, we had to apply extra efforts. That's where we are. Right now that we have the register, I'm still laying the foundation for the journey that we have so far. We have the register. Where are we? We are going into voter transfers.
That's okay.
I know you will not have this question, so let me tackle it myself. Some people might feel that the voter transfers are coming early because we have just done voter registration and immediately we want to do voter transfers. Well, two answers to that. One, it's a requirement by law that we should provide open centers for people to conduct voter transfers. But then the law has scheduled that voter transfers should take place before we open up centers for voter inspection.
Okay.
Now, Malawi Electoral Commission...
Voter inspection is another activity.
It's another activity that is coming in March.
Okay.
So we... voter inspection... Okay, voter transfers should be done before voter inspection. Okay. Now, you cannot do voter inspection when you don't have a voters register.
Okay.
Now, we first to have a voters register, it means it has to be modeled after what we have registered. And now, for the voters register to be correct and perfect, everybody has to be in their rightful place. And then, we have to do nomination. For us to do nomination, there should be people voting for a person to say, we want this one to come here and stand.
Yeah.
And the people voting for you should be registered in that word. So you have to do nomination at a time when you are done with the voters register. Then the voter transfers should be done before voter inspection. That's why voter inspection is coming now, so that we can... No, voter register transfers are coming now, so that we can do the voters inspection in May. Then we can do nomination... No, voter inspection in March, then we can do nomination in May.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a sequence of the events.
Yeah.
It's unlike in other countries whereby they allow people to transfer on the voting day. You registered here, you can go and transfer, register.
Why can't we do that if you know?
One, the law has not provided for that. It has already provided that you transfer before voter inspection. So it means after voter inspection, there's nobody who's going to transfer up to the point.
Who can instigate the changing of the law?
Who can? The changing of the laws are supposed to save us. So in motivating for law reforms, you find that it can come from an angle.
Yeah.
It can come from a private member. It can come from the executive arm. It can come from the Malawi Electoral Commission. But normally, after elections, what we do is to set up a task force comprising MEC, government agencies that are relevant to the process, political parties, civil society, the academia, and everybody to bring together. I wouldn't say that they don't do the best. They do the best, but one thing you should know about elections is that the challenges tend to mutate. I'll give you an example why the challenges tend to mutate. You discover that 2019, we thought of the constituency tally centers. We implemented that because everybody liked it. But then when we went to the law, the court said, no, there's no law for this.
Okay.
So you discover that in 2014, we said we are dealing with the issues of the constituency tally center. People said, no, we need to tally results close to the people. So 2019, we said, let's have the constituency tally centers. Then somebody says, no, it's according to... Yes. So count 2025, we have the constituency tally centers mentioned in the law, and we are going to have them because there is a law now. The challenge that comes out and say, we have voter registration, some people fail to register. Well, the law says 14 days, but somebody says, no, you should have provided for them. But now, without the backing of the law, we cannot change. So you find that we do find challenge as we implement elections, another challenge that comes. So you are always engaging in law reform. Why law reform? The things that you do about elections, they tend to be regulated about with law. That's why you'd find that in some cases, although something seems good, but if it has got no backing of the law, the commission tends to refrain from implementing such until at such a time when the law is changed. We are overly regulated by law to an extent that even some of the very simple process like inking a voter when they are voting, it's regulated by the law that it should be the right index finger. And let me add something very funny to that as a break. The law says a voter should dip the right index finger in ink. Now we got technology whereby you can have a marker with indelible ink. You just mark on the cuticle. That is done. But now the law doesn't allow for that technology. It says you should dip. So the moment you change that technology, you are not dipping. You are breaking the law. And if I dip another finger, I'm breaking the law. It should be the right index finger. So those are the challenges that will always come about elections, but I can assure you it's not just Malawi alone. This is an international thing. That's why you would want to always go into electoral reforms. And if some of them are scholars of how elections are managed, they'll go and read the electoral cycle. In all the models about elections, the law reform comes immediately we have concluded an election.
I see. Mbumba, do you want to add something or ask something?
I think a lot of it has been quite insightful, looking at the technicalities and all of that. But I think the elephant in the room is also misinformation of literally everything that you have just said.
Exactly.
How has Malawi Electoral Commission tackled misinformation this time around? Because we already know some people, they're up and about trying to misinform us.
Because I can give you examples. Demarcation. I'm telling you, for every Malawian out there, so that's news isn't as many as makazi kunja ukoko kuti afuna simukona kuti tango gawa kulilongwe kokha simukona kuti tango ndikusalima mukuti magodi. You see, so there's so much misinformation when it comes to such things. So I don't know kuti Mbumba, how are you?
You look into those terms, there will be scenarios, and I will cite very live examples. When you are talking of disinformation, is whereby somebody deliberately, I think, people, they've got an afterthought to say, I'm going to cook up this story just to confuse the process. They are churning out something which they deliberately know that this is not true, just to achieve a certain, maybe pivot agenda. We are what those cases. And I'll give examples, not later to make, but you find that there are always front pages of newspapers in circulation. They will take the headline, change it, and put it something just to confuse people. That's a case of disinformation. And then you have cases whereby somebody brings out information that is not true, but they didn't have the intention of lying to somebody, but maybe they didn't have access to the correct information or their comprehension of the issue. Maybe had a gap, something like that. For example, if MEC says we are opening centers to give an opportunity for people that started civil registration when we were doing voter registration, but they never finished. And these ones have to come. And only these ones should come. You find somebody is taking the information, not with the ill intentions, but good intentions, just to make sure that they share with others. They will say, everybody who did not register, make his opening voter registration centers, go and register. When you look at the intention of the persons, it's fine. They never wanted to misinform. But maybe what they have given out, they may not have comprehended well. So we will look into both sides. One thing that you need to do now as a body and is an information holder is to make sure that the information that you have is given out.
Yeah.
One. So what you have to employ first is the principle of what we call proactive disclosure. That is, you don't hold information to yourself, and people have to come seeking for that. Rather than people coming seeking, you are the one that is knocking on their door. So in Malawi Electoral Commission, we have tried to give as much information as we can to the stakeholders. The second thing is, as you are disclosing, you need the capacity and channels and platform to make sure that you reach out to as many people as you can. Because I might say, I've disclosed this, I've released the press briefing, a press release, fine and good, but who has it reached? So it gives a responsibility to the information holder to know who their stakeholders are and how to reach to them. We have tried as Malawi Electoral Commission to make sure that we trap and enslave. So I've used that word, it's a technical word. But we try to bring our stakeholders to a place whereby they don't have an opportunity that they can miss information from Malawi Electoral Commission. So we take their numbers, put them together, whether it's a WhatsApp or a broadcast, we put them there. We got a mailing list. I think we can brag as Malawi Electoral Commission having a mailing list on the land. I think we got about 6,500 active email addresses. Apart from that, we see the information consumption habits amongst the stakeholders. We have tried to make sure that we use the mass media as we can. One thing and one technique is that you should be steadfast in monitoring surveillance so that you pick something before it spreads. You profile the newsmongers, the likely fake news sites, so that when they speak something, you work on it and outpace it. What I mean is, somebody has posted something, I know this is not true, so I'll grab that, write my write-up to say this is not true, and share it. By the time this one is reaching 1,000 people, I would have already reached my 10,000. So by the time it's moving to these people, they already have the information from me. And this is the skill which so many information holders have to master. When you are fighting disinformation or fake news or misinformation, speed and reach, they are very important. If you are waiting for 2 hours or 24 hours to respond, that thing you may not catch it up. You really have to have speed. Easy to get information. We are dealing with the people that are lazy when seeking information that is correct. But they'll be fast in spreading
the fake news.
That's it. I don't know what's the magic behind that, because when somebody writes something negative, it's just like when they say the edition of today of such a newspaper should not be sold. That's when people rush.
And they buy
it. I'm speaking now from somebody who's holding information. We really have to move and be working on our toes. We have to have ammunition. The traditional media cannot be used to respond to something moving on social media.
True.
You really have to craft your battle well enough to make sure that you also go where the battle is taking place.
That's why we're here. To help fight the battle. I mean,
sure, if there is something about circulating on WhatsApp, I would not sit down and craft something and put in a newspaper. It's reaching a different audience. If I'm going to put something in a newspaper, that should not be the only channel for fighting that. If they are fighting in the air, I should also go up to the air and fight with them. If it's under the water, I also go there.
Okay.
I want to mention one thing now, since we are dealing with this. The other thing is literacy about information, fake news, and others. Because you find that I'm a person of influence. Sociology, they call it significant other.
Yeah.
I receive something, I don't verify it, I just forward it passively. And I start asking, is this true? By that, I'm already spreading the fake news. You don't spread it unless you have verified. So the consciousness of fighting fake news, controlling the spread of fake news should also be a cross-cutting issue in those of us that are working in elections. You don't spread when you are not sure. Hold on.
Yeah. Ndifantodi tinangozolowera kuti nkhani zimakamveka ma group enake acha.
Exactly.
We can't get the right information from the right sources.
Exactly. Because in this case, like Malawi Electoral Commission, we have tried to put everything. And I challenge you today, everything about make, you always find it on our Facebook page, on our X page. That is if you are not on make updates through WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So you get something about make, go to the make Facebook page and check. If you don't find it there, doubt it. And anything that you doubt, you treat it cautiously to avoid spreading fake news. It's funny. Let me give you an example. We are going into the season whereby people always be saying, at such a house, there are ballot papers. Exactly. Already marked. Now, a day like today, somebody can write up something and say, there are ballot papers at Sangwane's house. Yeah. People will start spreading that, believing it. Now, to any more person who knows the electoral procedure would know that a ballot paper contains the names of candidates, their political parties and their pictures. So if I'm having ballot papers today, who's on the ballot paper? What pictures are they using? I may not have 1 or 2, 3, 4 people that are probables that they can contest in a particular election. But I may not know what they are how they are going to dress on that day. So how do I make a ballot paper in advance? So even if I have ballot papers, how do I get them into the electoral system when it's a closed process? So, but I'm just using that as an example to say how people tend to believe things that even puzzle somebody.
Okay. I want us to talk about my commissioner. Agumeki. We know the commission is made up of my commissioners ndekumakhala no mbali ina secretariat. Ma commissioner jamabwera bwanji.
Okay.
Ndipo ntchito yawo ndiyo tani. Ali kumene kuja kuti atitani.
Thank you so much. The Malawi Electoral Commission, if I'm not mistaken, is set up by Section 75. And that's the Constitution. And then there is a subsidiary legislation known as the Malawi Electoral Commission Act, talking about the establishment of the Malawi Electoral Commission. The law is very clear that there shall be a Malawi, but there shall be the Malawi Electoral Commission comprising of not less than 4, but not more than 7 members. Shall be chaired by a judge of the High Court. 2 things there. Members and then the chair. So the appointment of the commissioners is also stipulated in the law. One, for the chair is nominated by the judiciary. The judiciary sits and nominates a name or names to the president. The president is bound to appoint the chair from the name submitted by the Judicial Service Commission. If the person has not been nominated by the Judicial Service, the president will be acting ultra vires or out of powers to appoint somebody outside from that nomination.
So when as the
chairperson, the name is the one that has nominated that person. I don't know how many names can the judiciary nominate, but the law says the chairperson should be nominated by the Judicial Service Commission. So whether they submit one name, the president is bound by that. If they submit 2 names, that means they're giving the president the latitude now to appoint either of them. If they submit 3, everything. one of those three.
Okay.
So whoever comes or becomes the chairperson of the Malawi Electoral Commission, first point of identification is the Judicial Service Commission that nominates that name to the president.
Yeah.
The commissioners, we have it in Malawi that commissioners have to be nominated by political parties.
Okay.
This is how it goes. The law requires that every political party that has contested in parliamentary elections, not presidential elections, not local government elections, but in the parliamentary elections. So, no, regardless of the number of candidates that have been filled, but if they have fielded candidates, the total votes those candidates have gotten, whether they have won a seat or not, but the total valid votes those candidates have gotten, when you sum it up, should not be less than 10% of the total votes cast in the parliamentary election.
Okay.
Every political party that has gotten 10% and above of the total votes cast. Whether they are candidates, there is just one, but they fielded 200 candidates. The total votes which all those candidates got, you sum it up, they should come to 10% or above of the total votes in the parliamentary elections. They are allowed to submit 3 names to the president. The president, when appointing commissioners, remember I said they should not be less than 4, not more than 7. So the president has to look into the proportionality of the numbers of MPs that party has. So it's possible that a party can have maybe 30% of the votes, but they have only 2 MPs in parliament. So when the president is looking at that proportionality, he may decide to give them 1 seat because they don't have so many number of seats. So in the parliament which was appointed or which is having life now, the parties that qualified were Democratic Progressive Party and the Malawi Congress Party. These ones got good numbers. I can't remember the figures, but they were above 10%. I'll mention UTM because it's a case of special interest. UTM was coming around 9.something% of the total votes cast. So although they have members in parliament, they could not submit a name because they fell short of the threshold.
So the first criteria and the percentage of votes.
Yes. If you hit 10%, you submit 3 names. So the president in appointing has to look at the proportionality now of how many MPs that party has. The higher the number of MPs you have, then the higher number of commissioners the president can appoint. So because there are 3 parties that qualified, then the law was saying, then the law was giving vividly a maximum number of 6 plus the chair 7. Before the amendment was made to provide for the minimum, which was 4. So the president, when he was appointing, he appointed 3 from DBB, 3 from MCP. There are issues that were taken to court. I can refer to it because it's a dead case. The law was saying that then, I think it should be around 2018 or thereabout, the previous 2021 or thereabout, each party should submit 3 names. So we had 4 names appointed from one political party. So this matter was litigated, you remember? Should have been in 2020-21, and then the court nullified the appointments of those 4. And then we had the parties asked to resubmit names. So we have 3 commissioners now that were nominated by the Malawi Congress Party.
Yeah.
We have 3 commissioners that were nominated by
The
the Deputy DPP. I'll address an issue which I think you may not have addressed. Some people think that because they don't have representation in the commission, how will their interests be catered for?
Yeah.
This is what is required of the law. That it's very clear. I can't cite the condition, the section, but it's very clear that in the discharge of the duty, the commission or the secretariat, they are supposed to work independently without the direct instruction from any person or authority.
Okay.
So we are supposed to work independently. The moment the commissioners are appointed, you stop identifying their work, their decisions, and everything they do with the parties that sponsored them. What I mean is, if a commissioner stands up today and speaks something, whether one party is against it or not, you may need to give a background to say this commissioner is from this party, has differed with this party. No, he or she is doing the job as a commissioner of the Malawi Electoral Commission. So whatever they do in the discharge of their job, it should be identified with the Malawi Electoral Commission. It's the decision of the Malawi Electoral Commission and not that individual commissioner.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'd like to
I will still
interject.
come. Still on the interest of the political parties. We got 20 political parties at the moment.
Okay.
Some of them have never contested even in elections.
Okay, but they are there.
They are there
Okay.
in the register of political parties. The law allows for commissioners to be appointed from political parties because parties have got vested interests in elections. But we still needed a criteria that can sieve the interest. That's why the threshold came in to say those that acquire 10% of the votes should submit the names because they have shown that they can master a follow-up interest in the elections. Yeah.
So my interjection was going to come in to say that one can easily argue that it creates room for bias one way or the other. How, for example, if I am elected, let me just throw myself in there. I'm elected to be a commissioner and I belong to a certain party. How is MEC going to make sure that I have at this point cut ties, if for lack of better word? How is it that Malawi Electoral Commission is going to note that Mbumba is no longer partaking in party or politics yakupate kwao and now is officially just a commissioner and I'm no longer, standing a biased position?
Well, it's an issue that has generated a lot of debate. To say, how should we appoint commissioners? Should political parties have a hand, a stake, or not? Should we leave it to the open market and say, let's appoint people that are neutral, they are not identified with the political parties? I'll tell you from experience that the system that serves this side of the continent much better is whereby political parties have a stake in the appointment of commissioners. You leave it to the appointing authority, maybe the president alone. Tomorrow, anything that happens, people will rise to argue on biasness. But if these commissioners, they had a stake in that, it's like a self-propelling measure, a self-repairing measure. Yes, somebody can think, say, because this person was nominated by Party A, then they would be there to pursue interest of Party A. But at the same time, you should also take into consideration that there's somebody who was nominated Party B. So
they cannot allow.
So it's a balancing effect. At the same time, we have got the neutralizing factor that the chair is coming from the judiciary. Unlike when you will have people, well, you may not identify with them with their political background or to say the party never nominated any of them. tomorrow they can say anything. They will start counter accusation, say these people have been bought by this thing. The other side, I think, apart from me, as Sangwadi Maflirwa, it's very difficult to find somebody in Malawi whom you can't identify with a political party. Yeah. I'm saying
apart from you?
Apart from me. I will explain that technically.
Okay.
From my background, I've never been active in politics. I've never been a member.
We've never been active as well.
I've never participated in any political activity.
But at the end of the day, you have to vote.
Yes. Whilst we were young, we never participated in politics. When we entered the college, that was the time maybe we would have done politics, but then we are studying journalism. So our journalism lecture said, if you are reading journalism, don't do any politics. So we never participated. Now, when we finish, we start working as a journalist. There is no way you could be politically active. You have to be neutral. So life has been like that. So joining the Electoral Commission didn't give me any problems with that because I never had any political side. Okay. Surprising what has happened to me, yes, I've registered.
What do you do?
But what happens on the polling day? What happens on the polling day? What happens on the polling day? It's something that even myself, I'm not understanding.
You just pray.
I have missed voting. I'll be honest. Why? I wake up in the morning, I have to prepare for the chair. Because there is no way we start polling at 6. We can spend 3 hours without speaking to the nation. So definitely there are issues that are emerging in the morning. So you deal with that, prepare the chair to speak. You go to the mental center. You deal with one issue. By the time you discover the polling stations have closed. So
and you haven't managed to
You haven't even managed to go and vote. So by the time you want to say, I registered in
You should
Ndirande.
have your own center.
I registered in Ndirande. Let me go to Ndirande to vote. Although even though I know I go there, I'll vote with priority because I have my ID, I have my badge. But now, just the time for you to travel to go, the phone is always ringing, there are issues to attend. You discover the centers have closed. I pray that I'll vote.
I think to back him up, because I've seen that you've...
of course.
It's very possible you can go and vote without being politically affiliated to anybody. You can vote for the interest of your country.
I guess.
Yeah, so...
But okay, these commissioner guys, are you not using them kuti adzithandizira ku dzepani zimene anachokera kumvesesa the decisions of the MEC?
Okay. No.
No?
We cannot use the commissioners to say, because we are coming from party A, then if party A wants to understand the issue about the elections, they should be coming to you because you are sponsored by them. No, the commission has got the platforms for engagement, official channels.
So they should not use their people they send?
No, they are official means that we use as a commission engaging with political parties.
Okay.
We always hold meetings with political parties. Even now as we are going into voter transfers, on Friday, we had a meeting with these political parties explaining to them. It's very much possible that maybe the decisions which the commission is making can differ with political parties. Why? Because parties might have their own stand on an issue, and then commission collectively also makes its own decisions as a commission.
Because what I'm trying to say is, and we have sent you from our house.
Yes, the moment you come here,
why are you disconnecting us?
You have come to a monastery. So if it's preaching salvation, you have to still preach to them. Even if they sent you, you will tell them, repent.
Yes. That's my point. Because ndimaona ngadonena kuti mwina makomishona samathangatira kupereka kuti kukuthandizirani kuthandizira ame.
Okay, I will tell you one thing is that you may have to reflect on the intricacies and the dynamics of decision making within political parties. There'll always be centers of power and centers of influence. There'll always be the center point. There'll always be the right-hand man. There'll always be the Goebbels, and then all other people of influence. So the decision that a political party is making, whether it's taking a stand against the decision of the commission, may not necessarily reflect or hinge on what the commissioner might have told them. They have got other central powers that to tell them. I'll give an example. When we are purchasing the new gadgets that we're using for voter
I was coming there. Because mafuna ndivesese unena kuti if you look out there information unena kuti tikane machine imachokera ku zipani. Okay, so this is the same zipani zoti zatumiza munthu kumene koko kuti munthu uyo akukhala nawo ma decisions making amene waonena kuti tifuna tikapangesa kuti. Why are they on a forefront preaching the gospel na kuti machine amene wafuna abere when munthu wawo ali kuti ali kumene koko and is in the process of making the decisions?
The fact that a party nominated a commissioner to the Malawi Electoral Commission, they are not bound to be agreeing with the Malawi Electoral Commission in any decision.
Of course.
They have their own decision-making process.
Yeah.
The same goes to the Malawi Electoral Commission. The fact that they might be nominated by a party, it doesn't mean that they lean on the decision of the party. They come here, they are commissioners.
Yeah.
They are bound to deliver their roles as per expectation on what the law says. What does the law say? One prime thing that I can cite out is the independence. So when they come here, they have to think independently as a commission. I'll give an example of the election management devices.
Yeah.
That thing, when you invite political parties in all the discussions, they never resisted to it.
Okay.
The people that were involved in the discussions, they may not have necessarily been the vocal ones that came out to say we don't want this.
Yeah.
That also talks to you on how parties make decisions. As when we are engaging with political parties, we will not invite all the members of the NEC and others to reach us. No, we say, give us a representative, whether it's the Secretary General, Director, depending on the nature of the matter or the issue that is at hand or you are discussing. This person is coming as a representation of the party. You come discuss with them. The area views, the area questions, you respond. You will find that you are on a common ground or in a consensus. But after, maybe when they go and they report, the parties will have making another decision, maybe even to dissent from what their delegate might have assented to. So there are dynamics of decision making within political parties, which you have to be very, very sensitive to. Let me.
Okay. How is it affecting you? Because these are the same people, they have sent people they've trusted in the first place to be commissioners. Okay, this is our claim. Like, and how our sangalole kuti umene kukhale ma decisions ena kufuna dipweteka ife because they are our people. Okay. Secondly, we are having meetings about a certain decision. We want, as maker, you want to communicate about a decision that you've made. Tufuna digule machine akuti you've told them, send us someone. Wabwela kumene kuja mwalongosolera, and then they go back with the report, and then how is it affecting your operations and even like kupereka information one?
I can tell we have been resilient. The issue of the EMD has got a long history. One, I said it's not a new technology.
Okay.
It's a new gadget, but it's same old technology that we used in 2019, biometric voter registration.
EMD?
Yes. It's just a new gadget, but
the same system.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just like you say, I'm on Android.
Yeah.
Whether it's
whether it's Samsung or Itel, Techno.
Let me use the issue of Samsung.
Okay.
Whether it's an We had S5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Still running on Android. Now, if I used an S5 5-6 years ago, I'm buying a new phone, still a Samsung, an Android. Today, I will not go back to the S5.
Yeah.
No, it may have less capacity, less engine power, but it still remains Android. So that's the issue. You buy the latest technology that is on the market. So even the people that have gone to register, you find that it's the same technology. You stand there.
When you listen to what they are saying, where is it?
One thing you have to understand, and I emphasize, could be the issue of decision making and the rescinding of decisions, and also the issue of delegation and the representation within political parties. When you invite them to a consultative meeting, they send you somebody. You discuss with that person. They even air their views. They agree to that. Is the party bound by that? Or they can move or dissent from that? Because what we have seen in some cases that you invite. Let me give an example, still MD. I was saying that it's a long-standing issue because the gadgets that we use for the 2019 election, the biometric voter registration kits, were bought for the mass civil registration done by NRB, should have been in 2016 thereabout.
Okay.
We got a pack from that and used for voter registration. Those things have got a lifespan. And by now, most of them are dysfunctional. If we had used those things, by now, we could not have been over with voter registration.
Okay.
In the post-mortem of the elections in 2020, it's there. Stakeholders agreed that we have to move to buying new technology for voter registration because these kids are tired.
Okay.
Even nowadays, people with the laptops, they will not use it for more
than 2 years.
You will find that you use it for 2 or 3 years, it's getting tired. For boot, just to boot, it's taking 30 minutes. Battery power dies. You have also going to be on the mains. Otherwise, it will act like a bulb. You switch it on, you take off the mains, it's gone. That was happening in the case with the kids.
Okay.
So we moved to a new technology. And I can challenge you today. I can't cite a center whereby somebody went to register as a voter and they were told that we don't have power.
Yeah. Okay.
That kit, that EMD being a new gadget, is able to run whole day.
Okay.
Just on battery.
Okay.
If you add the power bank, you got 2 full days running voter registration, registering.
Okay. For the records, Sangwan.
Yes.
We are using a machine that, we're using a system that has been there from like 2016.
It's the same biometric voter registration.
It was used in 2019.
Yes.
It was used.
By system, I mean technology.
Yes.
That is a biometric. You go, you put your fingers or they take your fingers. It's capturing your biometric features. Yes.
What has changed, Ababa? It's the gadget.
The gadget is what has changed.
It's just like it's an upgrade.
Upgrade.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know whatever happened, but now I follow current affairs. There could be 3 cases now that we can cite that people brand. At first time we had one thing, it's something from Macra. I think they consolidated the greater CRIMS.
Yeah.
It was branded as a spy machine, and Macra had it tough implementing it. In the end, we had even the people that were branding it as a spy machine move to the other side of the continuum. Now, this is the thing that you are fighting. How do you deal with it? Then come in the EMDs. Somebody will be like, no, rigging thing.
Yeah.
No, you even ask them, how do you want to rig? They'll say, when you are voting, it will have already voted. No, we never said you are going to use the EMD
to vote.
We never said that. This is a small gadget. We never said you're going to use it. The ballot paper will be there. No, they said when you are counting. No, this is not a vote counting machine.
Okay. So we're not using this system.
we are not using that thing to vote, because people are saying, no, when you go to vote, you have to mark somewhere or so, you own the machine and then it is going to take to your vote and give it to somebody. There is nothing like that. Your ballot paper will be there. You vote at the polling station, you tick.
Yeah.
We have our ballpoint there. If you don't trust our ballpoint,
take ours.
Bring your own, but it should not be a lead pencil. You bring your own lead pencil, whether you pray for it, whether you fast for it.
Anointed pens.
As long as it's got ink.
Okay.
You use yours to mark. Counting. You count at the polling station. People will count. You open the ballot box at the polling station. Not move any ballot box before it is counted. And once you count at the polling station, you are sealing that ballot box.
Okay.
The rest of the process, there is no counting. What is there is just tabulation. And the tabulation starts at the constituency tally center.
Ulibe mafigures amena kupita pa internet.
Well, we don't use internet as make.
Yeah.
That people should get it.
Okay.
Because people speak so many theories. They're using it.
This is the challenge.
This is the challenge. People speaking so many things. They are hanging in towers right now. They are doing this. Nothing.
So all of that is just gibberish. It has always been gibberish.
It's like this.
Yeah.
Henry has been pressing you somewhere.
Yeah.
With all this information,
yes,
you have commissioners who are well vested with this information.
Yes.
But they choose to misinform their parties. It should be something that should fix that.
Yes.
No.
Yes, they are independent. We agree they are independent.
Commissioners don't choose to misinform.
Do they relay the information?
Okay, I said this. When commissioners have been appointed to work at the MEC, those are ours. They belong to the Malawi Electoral Commission. They don't belong to any political party. If they are going to take information to political parties, they do. And the mode of sharing with information with political parties, they are the same modes. Whether we're going to issue a press release, whether we're going to have a meeting with them, that's what they do. Don't expect them to go behind the commission to be like informants to the party. They are not supposed to do that. So why I'm saying this, we got 20 political parties. No party has got an advantage over another in getting information from the Malawi Electoral Commission just because they sponsor the commissioner. No. We got so many official channels of sharing information. And I tell you that at the commission, we got nothing to hide except two things. Salaries of staff of MEC. The second one, which is a prime thing, is your ballot choice, whom you have voted them. That one, we preserve it. The rest of the thing, I'll give you an example. People today won't be interested to say, how many people have registered at each polling station? You have told us that is 7.2 million. How many people have registered? All parties need that. So one party should not have an advantage over another just because they sponsor the commission.
No, Sangwan, here's where we have the problem. Chifacho nena kuti, we are looking at power at play. Kuti zipani zimene zikuvutazi, si chipani china chake chimene mwina chilibe representation ya ku parliament. Tukamba za chipani zoti zikamapita zikupita ndi confidence. You get
this
it? In the confidence imakhala hapo kwa wina aliyense.
Exactly.
Komano, these are the people who nakuti akuzimva kuti we've got numbers, we've got everything, and if you're winner. Ndipo ngati siti winner ndio pali china chake at play that is happening at the MEC. Okay? Now, these are the people
just
that
a minute on that
people.
One. Just a minute on that one.
Hey.
I'll tell you, of all the 20 political parties, all of them meet them. They are confident that they will win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody goes to an election expecting to lose.
Yes.
But still, somebody would have said because this party sponsored this person to be a commissioner, that means they should be the first ones to be privileged to get hindsight or privileged information much faster than others. If a party is differing maybe with a commissioner sponsored by them, it means that our commissioners are doing a good job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even
A big hand for them.
ndivura mvesesa because because
It will be,
ndimaona ngati kuti anthu awawa ndiothandizira.
No, they are not sent there to save parties.
But they are the ones who nominated them.
Yes, the parties have been given an obligation just to nominate.
Okay.
The parties can decide to nominate anybody else. It's just a process to say you are nominating these people, you are participating in the appointment process. Unlike when you leave or heap everything else to one office, you would say they are appointed, the appointing authority appointed not his stooges, but right-hand person or somebody to save their interests. So because you have a political process, you have to come up with not neutralizing factors, but at least broadening the base for participation in the process to take care of the political interests, to say the people that we are appointing, at least they have a say. I want to ask something to say, put yourself in a situation whereby political parties had not sponsored any person who is a commissioner. Now, they come to a situation, they are differing with the commission. What could have been the case? If they are even able to differ with the commission now,
having their person inside.
Yes, sir. What has about a situation where they could not have sponsored? That should now broadening the discourse or the discussion about political party making decisions. The party is differing with the commission. It means the commission is making independent decisions.
Okay. So the stakeholders.
Okay, let me just jump in quickly.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah.
What if you caught a commissioner feeding information to the party that is wrong? What do you do with that commissioner? I said, ask it because I think it's kind of you.
Yeah. Okay. So ine ndifunsa funso linaonena kuti tukamba zoti makomishona awa chabwino inde ndi a neutral inde. Okay? And they are there. Okay. So when you're progressing to making my decisions how do you involve these other stakeholders like Zipanizi? For example, you want to go for company printer mabaloti.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you like get them in? Komaso mwina mukagwira kapena kukayikira kuti kumakhanga da commission awa akumapanga channel information not in the right channels that we have said to the party that nominated them. How do you handle that case?
Okay, fine. Let me start with the issue of implementation of electoral processes, even when it's procurement. Procurement of things or goods and services by the Malawi Electoral Commission is guided by law. We got the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Act, which we have to follow religiously and diligently. You notice that when it's other entities, they can start a process and finish. I always give an example of banks. My salary enters through the bank. It comes out through their app without me going to touch the money or get the money. I get an SMS, your salary has been credited. I go on the app, I started transferring the money to A, B, C, D. I trust the bank. with my money.
Yeah.
But when it comes to for you to trust the make with your vote, it's an issue. You trust the bank, you trust IT with your money.
Okay.
But you can't trust the same technology with your vote. The day the commission will say, let's have electronic voting, you ban this country. So many issues.
Yeah.
You find that even though the commission has got the powers to sit and make a decision on what to buy, technology to employ, but we always consider the stakeholder interest. Because in some cases, it's not how good the thing that we have done is, but also what the stakeholders will say. The EMD is always a typical example because the EMD has worked so well in this voter registration that we never had cases whereby people are sent back because there is no battery or no power. We are able to do voter registration in the remotest areas of this country where access to electricity is a problem.
Okay.
But the centers could open throughout because that thing had power, had a power bank. We even used the solar where we had. We used Genesis where we are. Had it been not this thing, he didn't have power. It meant more money for us to run a Genesis throughout. We always engage stakeholders. I'll still use the example. The AMD at the concept level, this came from electoral reforms.
Yeah.
Considering the post-mortem of how we ran the elections, people noted that the biometric voter registration kits were dying. They were having less battery power. So that would be phased out.
Yeah.
So we agreed that we buy. When we started the procurement process, we were giving regular updates to political parties. There's no political party that can rise today to say, we are not informed. No. In all meetings that we have, we could. But now it's the issue of saying, I've asked the delegation and the centers of power within political parties. You find that you bring them. I'll still use the procurement issue because in the procurement issue, you are not obliged to engage anybody.
Yeah, but this is to do with both.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In the procurement law,
you're not
obliged.
Just
when
following
we are
the procurement,
procuring the EMDs, they are processes regulated by the law, which we had to follow. One of them was to issue call for international tenders bids. We informed them. We called. There are several organizations that were shortlisted for this. Can you submit their bids? One submitted, two failed.
Okay.
Because one submitted, it doesn't mean that we just said because you are the only one, then come and supply. No. We had to evaluate to say, though you are the only one, but do you meet what we want? So we had to evaluate. The evaluation of a bid received, it's the sole responsibility of the evaluation committee team. We had to seek waiver from the PPDA to say what we are procuring is something that is very sensitive.
Yes.
Allow us, when we are summoning the supplier, to invite stakeholders. We invited all political parties to say, come to the evaluation of this. Our technical people will be doing, but also want you to come face to face with the one who has submitted the bid. By that time, we had not made an offer. We are evaluating.
You're just evaluating the bid.
The parties came. They faced this supplier. The supplier made a presentation of the technology. They knew who the supplier was. They asked the questions to the supplier and they are acquainted with the technology. They were satisfied. And we even emphasized in the communications to them, but send us technical people. Because what we are procuring is a technical thing.
Yeah.
They ask the questions, they are satisfied, they go. We proceeded with our independent.
However, they delivered the message. That's
the other thing. Even if they delivered, whoever might be the center of power can choose to differ with them and say, no, we are dissenting and say whatever. Normally, what you would see in some cases is the people that will come and attack what you had agreed with the parties before. They are not the parties that you met. The people that you met would be other
people.
centers within the parties that will come. So that was done, the evaluation. We proceeded to award the contract. We informed them. When we had the EMDs coming, we informed them. We were together at the airport. These things are coming. We started demonstrations. When you got the first tickets, we did demonstrations
of how it
works. We met all the political parties.
The
the intent of the commission was to meet a president
of that
political party in the company of 10 members of their choice from each party.
Okay.
We succeeded in meeting some presidents. They might be engaged in other things. We were following them to where they want us to meet them.
Okay. So that was you trying to
sell the technology, we were demonstrating.
Okay.
By that time, we have the prototypes and the prototype software, but not yet finalized. We did the demonstrations. Asked questions they did. We responded. We did a separate meeting of IT experts to say, when you are demonstrating to you as a Secretary General, you may not know the
understand, yes.
But at least you are commenting from the user perspective. Now we want your IT experts. We invited 2 IT experts from every political party. We went and discussed the EMDs, all the technical things, all the security features. They were satisfied. We said that's not enough. We are introducing this technology in a very critical exercise. We are not taking chances, no any risk. We are going to have a pilot registration. Remember? Why? We want to test these gadgets. If we're going to a hot area, like in Gabu. We even had in Gabu seeded in this pilot. Why? Because of the temperatures. We had places like Ichitipa and Zuzu because of the temperatures. We even went to places where they are humid and other things, just to make sure that it works in all environment. So we even wanted to see how it captures the fingerprints, how it takes the pictures. Just when we are starting the pilot, that's when so many things happen. So no, this gadget, they want to use it to rig. They want to use it to that. And what they do, they even demotivate people from going to pilot and say, if you register in a pilot, they will capture their details and put them elsewhere. When it comes to voter registration, you will not register. You see that disinformation. And that gave us tough time because in pilot phase, we had wanted parties to say, bring your members.
Okay.
So we wanted parties to bring their people and other people to come on their own volition. We succeeded in the pilot because of the people that come. But still we had the representatives of parties in the centers. They saw it for themselves. And the pilot helped us to discover some issues would have given us problems when we started on mass voter registration. Like the issues of, I don't want to be sensitive, but capturing some people for whatever stage it was for their physical features, it was difficult. One, the camera was too sensitive. That is, if you could close one eye and you take a picture, it would say the person's other eye cannot be seen. See, speaking some small details. So those are the things that we had to go again and work in the software to make it easier for them to capture people better types. We did the pilot. They said no, they'll capture their details, blah, blah, blah. We come to voter registration. Instead of supporting us to say, please, go and register our people. Some would say, we are going to hold demonstrations against this. Yet we are doing voter registration. We finish voter registration, somebody comes and says, people have not registered. So who are the 7.2 million people?
My guy, Sangwan has been looking forward to this more than and because kufika mawa is easy. But I want us to wrap up and giving us a picture of where we're going, because tinagamba kale kuti mafigures athu mwina kuoneka ngati ochepa, and then we should also expect kunena kuti not all those 7.2 million will go out of their homes on 16th September to vote. okay, how are you looking at it and how are you trying to make sure kunena kuti at least anthu akatuluke, looking also at the 50+1?
Okay.
Zizatani sakapezeka zoti sitinafike kumene koko tizatani?
Okay, fine. Two things here. I have to take 50% plus 1 separately.
Yeah.
I have to take the issue of voter turnout on the polling day separately. One thing, I'll be very frank with anybody else. Malawi Electoral Commission doesn't need the votes.
Okay.
We don't need the votes.
Okay.
One. Two, a person who go into office as a councillor, a member of parliament, or a president, depending on the number of votes that have been cast.
Okay. What's that mean?
If 1 million people show up on the polling day, 6.2 don't show up, we still have a credible election.
Okay.
You can raise issues whereby Malawi Electoral Commission abrogates or fails on its duty to provide an opportunity for people to go and vote.
Okay.
But where Malawi Electoral Commission has done what was planned and expected of it, we open the centers, come and vote. Somebody tells people don't go and vote. If people listen to them and don't go and vote, that doesn't discredit the process.
Okay.
It's the vote that has been cast that count.
Okay.
So whoever is looking for votes, whoever is looking for votes on 16th September, they should go flat out and mobilize people to vote. Dare them run a counter campaign to say don't go vote. In fact, somehow it borders on criminality. Somebody going out and not undermining, but running counter. Implementing or indulging in behavior to make the Electoral Commission feel its duty. The law doesn't say for that.
Okay.
The law obliges every person, public or private, person or institution, to support the Malawi Electoral Commission in its duty.
Okay.
So we don't expect somebody tomorrow will rise up and run a campaign to say, guys, let's don't vote. Okay. The law doesn't allow for that. One. Two, we are appealing to everybody who knows that they will need votes. Now, when I say who knows they will need votes, I'm not looking at the candidates only.
Okay.
I'm looking even up to the youth who are members of various political parties.
Yeah.
There are parties who need votes. So they have got an opportunity, a responsibility to mobilize, reach out to everybody to make sure that they are motivated to vote. Malawi Electoral Commission will stretch itself as much as we can. The way we stretched ourselves for voter registration to hit the 7.2 million, we will do the same to mobilize Malawians to vote on 16 September. But we want it to be something that is 360 degrees. MEC is doing its part, the candidates and political parties are doing their part, the civil society and other elected or non-elected leaders or office holders are also doing their own part. We all mobilize the voter to show up. We can make wonders. We know that people fail to show up for voting for various reasons valid. Fine, when they are valid, it's understood. But if it's not a convincing reason, let's drum up the campaign to reach to everybody. There are some people who might have just registered to say, I will see. Those are the people that we should also target. We'll do our best to mobilize
and
people.
you see involvement in ndalama zokwenda bwanji ma nominations chani.
Okay. Let me come to nomination after I've tackled the 50% plus 1. Now, the issue of 50% plus 1, it's not looking at the population of eligible voters or the estimated people who would have registered.
It's
no.
750 plus 1 of the 7.2 million, right?
No.
Are you so?
Yeah, 50 plus 1 is like this. Let me use a simple arithmetic. First, it is 50%, which is half, plus 1.
Okay.
That 1 is one valid vote.
Not percent.
That it is not a percent.
Okay.
And that 50% is 50% of valid votes.
Okay.
So you might have 1 million registered voters. Come the polling day, you have, okay, let me say this at simple arithmetic. You might have 1.2 million registered voters. Come the polling day, you have 1 million people showing up to vote. So you have got total registered voters, 1.2 million. But the total votes cast is 1 million. 200 have not showed up. But then within the 1 million, you must still have a fraction, maybe 100,000, which are void. Yeah, void votes or non-void, if you want it for people to understand. It means you are remaining with 900,000 valid votes. These are votes which are the sum of all the votes each and every candidate has gotten. So if you have got 4 candidates that we are contesting, the candidate who's going to win should get 50% plus 1 vote of the
900,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So should get more votes than all these candidates. Okay. So in this example, our 50% plus 1 valid vote would be 450,000 and 1 vote.
Okay.
If you hit 450,000, you have failed the benchmark.
Okay. Okay.
Before I explain what will happen, let me talk of this adage that says every vote counts.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So it's possible that a presidential candidate can fail to go to State House because of 1 vote.
1 vote, yeah. Yeah, true.
That should mention the seriousness.
No,
if it can't. It's possible. It's already mentioned in the law.
Okay.
So what happens if there is no by the way, the 50% plus 1 vote is only for presidential candidates.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't apply to parliamentary, doesn't apply to local government. The law says within 60 days from the day the commission has declared the results, there should be a second election.
Okay.
The second election, the contestants will be the first candidate and the runner-up. The top 2 will only will contest.
Okay.
There will be no nomination. It's automatic. You go into an election.
And they
continue exactly with the vice. Exactly.
Okay.
Akupikisana 1 and 2. What happens to the rest? The rest can decide to support any of the 2. What happens to the registered voters? They have to go and vote for either one of the 2.
Okay.
I want to give a caution on that one. There might be the temptation to think because you were first in the first election, you came top 1, then automatically in the second election, you know.
Okay.
You might discover the number 2 has put up a grant campaign and they can turn the tables.
Yeah.
So I'm mentioning this because well over studies have shown that in a second election, there is low voter turnout.
Okay.
We would want that not be the case here.
Okay.
Should we go into a second election? This is a caution here and it should be on record. Should you be tempted to think that because my candidate already did well in the first election, he is going to do well in this case? You are not alone. There could be many of you who loved that candidate that are thinking like that. So by thinking like that, you are trying or contributing to turning of the tables. So don't get surprised if your favorite candidate who was doing well fails in the second election. That's about 50% plus 1. You mentioned about nominations. One, the law gives the mandate to the Malawi Electoral Commission. Not anybody else And the law doesn't say the commission should consult. No. The commission is given the mandate to determine what will be the nomination fees.
Okay.
6 months to the receipt of nomination fees. So in this case, we counted back from June 17 backwards. The commission released the names, the revised fees in December, because May, June, we are receiving the nomination papers.
Okay.
The law doesn't say make should consult. If the commission decides, can sit.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether it's a WhatsApp call, as long as the commission does decide, it has made a determination. There is no criteria to say you should look into the the status of the economy. No, it doesn't say you should look into the ability, the purchasing power of the people. No.
Okay.
It's just a mandate given to the commission to determine. So the commission determined for presidential election, all candidates are paying 10 million.
10 million, okay.
Whether it's a man, woman, person with a disability, or a youth, because these are the 4 parameters that we have.
Yeah.
No, you pay 10 million.
Okay.
If we look into the definition of a youth, technically, the youth are ruled out to contest for presidency because you have to be 35 by the time you submit your nomination papers. And then the law says 35 below, you fall within the definition of youth. So technically, legally, you're taken out. But we know in practice, we have had directors of youth whom some are close to 50, 60, 65 years old.
A director of
you are youth at heart. Now coming to parliamentary, the fees for men are 2.5 million. We are living in a world where there are disparities. The commission did what we call positive discrimination as a measure of contributing to healing the disparities.
Okay.
Women, the youth, and the people with disabilities. We are given a discount to say you pay 50% of the nomination fees. So they will pay 1.250 million for the parliamentary race.
Women.
Yes, the youth and the people with disabilities.
Okay.
It's all 50% discount.
Great.
Come to the local government elections, it's 200,000 for men, but for women, youth, and persons with disabilities, it's 100,000. That's our contribution towards or motivating these 3 categories where people have always cried to say there is low representation. The commission cannot go out and mobilize the youth to come and contest. We are a referee.
Okay.
So we have to make sure that when candidates are contesting, they are contesting on a level ground. Otherwise, if we are actively involved in campaigning, vote for this one, or putting more measures that would disimbalance the process, will also be found wanting or biasness. That's why you find that the commission will talk about these issues like advocacy, put more women in position, support the youth, persons with disability, even setting up the discriminatory, in a positive way, nomination fees, because we haven't identified the candidates. Once we identify the candidates, you will not hear anything from the Malawi Electoral Commission. I'm saying this because the stakeholders are always coming to the Malawi Electoral Commission. What are you doing to make sure there are more women?
Youth.
I think those efforts, they are misapplied.
They should
go to the political parties and ask the youth themselves to say, what are you doing? Because in some cases, we find that you are asking somebody that somebody should come into office. But that person doesn't want. Our parties have come out and say something, we can't find a woman candidate. So what do we do? We have had cases, I think the last by-election in Chilawenwa, there were 9 candidates. The nomination fees for a female councillor were 20,000. Nobody can stand to say, I wanted to contest, I had the capability to campaign, but I didn't have 20,000 to pay for nomination fees. No. So I'm mentioning this just to demonstrate that they are more structural issues that stakeholders can deal with than just focusing on the Malawi Electoral Commission. We have done our part, and I think our efforts and contribution in there. One example, maybe a last one. The day we are going to have parties, say we as a party, we have made a decision that 40% of our candidates are female. That will be the end of all these disimbalances.
Okay.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Sangwani for you guys. Sangwani is a media personality. And amangwenera basi. Amangwenera kusantra za kukosi.
He has been on radio?
No, I've never been to radio.
No, but professional.
He's a journalist.
He has to speak. So that's what he does. So he said it's a calling to him, and then he loved it, and then we were witnesses of that today.
Yeah.
My guy, zina zimenosia sana nene Sangwani ati sira. Kuyambira bano kumapita kusogoloku tikala tukumakamba tizitokuza Sangwani sikudya sana lankhule izi ndi akuti tikuuzeni, and we are here to make sure kuti tikala ndizi sankho zabwino koma so people you are informed, you are not misinformed. Ngati kuli kumene mudzitenga information yokhuza zisankho zimene zikubwerazi, we are the right people to go to, and if you don't necessarily tikupasana information yoyenerera mpaka na pa 16 I think tidzakhala live muno tidzakhala so nditale center yathu ngati ndizololedwa. But otherwise, I want to say thank you, Sangwan, for coming.
I'm really appreciative that you gave me an opportunity to come, and I know the constituency that I'm speaking to.
Okay.
I wouldn't go without telling them the truth. This one should sink.
Okay.
And
Camera,
should not forget it.
Yes. 30 seconds.
There is no polling station on Facebook and Twitter X.
Yes. Okay. Kulibe kuti kodi president akhala ndani pa atatuwa.
There is no polling on Facebook and
Yeah.
It's the votes that are cast that count.
Yeah.
So if you registered, prepare to go and vote for your favorite candidate. The second thing is you people who always spend hours making noise, commenting on Facebook regarding issues that are happening at the polling stations when you are not there. I'm appealing this to all the youth of all political parties and even the youth that identify themselves with some, whether youth clubs or community-based groups. You got two opportunities. One, we know as we go to polling, parties will be looking for monitors to be their representatives. Most of you shine from that. Maybe you have to rethink your stand on that. Secondly, even those that are not politically active, but the law allows for observers. We would want to have you as observers. That's it.
Ine ndingokulankhulani mwachigeto kuti kunena kuti pa Facebook palibepo mavoti amakhala pa ground. So pa Facebook pa jamu samati kwane mwakuti tiyeni pa ground tikawuza anthu kuti akavote, because akazavota that vote will be counted and munthu anuyo akhoza kuzawina. Once again, thank you so much, Sangwani. Manena kuti I can say that I've made it, Mama. I've made it because I had the privilege of having you here, right here on Podcast Malawi to do this show. We're looking forward to more interaction with you guys. And if you're tili pano kuonesesa kuti uthenga wabwino wazisankho ukufalikira ndipo kulalikidwa kwina kulikonse. Thank you so much, guys. As you can see, Mbumba was here. Just say hi. And
he didn't even introduce me from the beginning, so I'm not even here, guys.
I knew good. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much. And we will see you next week with another episode of Emergency Meeting. Thank you so much.
Welcome.